You know, one of the things I love about Central Church has been that this is a church reaching within our city to reconcile brothers and sisters who are of a different nationality, who are of a different race. It's been such a joy to link arms with churches of every color because we know that ultimately God doesn't see people as black and white. He sees us as image bearers of His glory. You and I are created in the image of God. So there's inherent dignity to every life. And that's why as Christians, as believers in the Lord Jesus Christ, we value a multicultural church. Now there will always be moments of massive injustice in the world, and we'll see those every day from this day forward. We saw it just a couple of weeks ago with George Floyd. We saw it again in St. Louis with that police chief who was murdered. That's injustice. And we are living in a sin-filled world, and it makes us grieve, it makes us weep. And every time we see these acts of injustice, what happens is we get to this place where we're looking around and we're trying to do something, just find a solution. And I think out of that, well-meaning people are sort of swept up into some things and some actions that really are not helpful because they're not the main action that needs to happen. So what is it that the Christian is supposed to do in a time like this? The Christian should seek justice. The Christian should take a stand against racism. But we have to realize that politics and politicians and a Christless culture, they really have no long-term solutions. And we know that because, isn't it true that the same sins just keep popping back up, the same ugly, tired sins? We see them over and over and over again. You know, we ought to love our neighbor and be quick to honor each other. In fact, in 1 Peter chapter 2, Peter actually commands us to do good and to honor one another, not using our freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of God. We have to realize that our only hope, the weapon of our warfare, is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the root problem. We need, as a culture, to be transformed. We need revival to grip our city. We need a supernatural solution. We need revival. We need the gospel of the Lord Jesus to come and transform our nation so that the change would be more than just 3 more years of peace, but it would change us from the inside out. We need to treat the root cause, not merely symptoms. Let's be really careful what we post on Facebook. Let's find incredible new ways to love our neighbor. You know, I was struck by this picture of Mr. Rogers back in the 60s. And Mr. Rogers was washing the feet of a black police officer. I loved that. I loved that image. He was broken for someone in his community who was hurting. And he said, I'm going to love you well. Let's love big in this season, Central Church. God's church is multicultural. It is multi-generational. And we have to believe Him when He says that He will build His church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it.